have followed your work and your journey, but in talking to young people and connecting with young people, we are a nation that comprises majority 15-year-olds to 25. We are a young nation, and a lot of them finish school, they've got no hope. They're following a blueprint. If I get a certain education, I will get a job. But then the truth is, it doesn't happen that way.
Sure.
And so we've got a young nation that is struggling with high unemployment figures, struggling with being told they're not good enough, they're not right enough. Social media is giving them all kinds of messages every day. And so many are just lost.
Yeah. You know, the Bahamas is a similar story. As a matter of fact, I think all post-colonial countries have the exact same scenario. We go through this transition from being oppressed to being delivered, not necessarily free. We confuse deliverance with freedom. Matter of fact, independence doesn't mean you're free. Independence simply means that you've chosen to chart your own course, your own destiny. Whether you make it there or not is up to you. And as you celebrate 50 years of independence, the question is, how far have you come from the days of oppression by the British, mentally speaking, and even culturally speaking? I think we've been conditioned by our history, colonial history, all of us, to be trained to get a job. And this is why our educational system doesn't train us to discover our purpose. It trains us to have a skill. So the average person in Kenya, a young person, has been told, if you get an education, get a good job, you are successful. This is absolutely not true. Success is measured by you fulfilling your purpose of being born, not for getting a job. So most developing countries focus on employment. And this is very sad, because we also believe that the government should provide employment for everybody. That is also a tragedy. I think we should change the scenario right now. I tell our young people, I say to you right now, stop looking for employment. Why don't you position yourself differently and look for deployment? To be employed means that somebody else is benefiting from your energy. To deploy yourself means that you are using your own energy to be productive. So instead of waiting for someone to give you a job, create your own work. That's why I tell people there's a difference between your work and your job. Your job is what they train you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. Your job is your skill, which they can fire you from that in time. But your work is your gift. No one can take that from you. Your job is where you get compensation for activity. Your work is where you get fulfillment because you love it so much. Your job you can retire from. Your work, you can never retire from your work because your work is you. So when a person discovers their work, they no longer need a job because their work makes them productive. So there are young people in this country who are full of talents, full of gifts. And I want to say this too. Every problem in life is a business. All businesses are simply someone solving a problem. So the more problems that are in Kenya, the more businesses available for young people to begin. And this is what I think we are lacking. We are trained to get a job. We're not trained to start a business. We are trained to let other people employ us, not trained to deploy ourselves. And this even happens in governments in our emerging countries. Most governments depend on external investors for survival of their countries. How about focusing on producing your own end products to sell to the investor? My perspective, for example, even in Kenya, Kenya has so much natural resources. The greatest resource in Kenya is the intelligence of its people. All the other natural resources are supposed to be complementing that natural source of intelligence. I want to encourage this great country, Kenya, as you celebrate 50 years, to refocus your entire culture of development. And that is focus on not just providing natural resource material for the world, but how about providing end products for the world? Instead of becoming a consumer, become a producer. Instead of becoming an employee, one will become the employer of the world. Instead of letting other people take your resources, develop them yourself and sell them to the other people. Instead of looking for investors, look for partners. I think if this country at 50 years old could just shift its mechanism of how we approach development, these young people will find their own businesses. You know, I was at a restaurant last night beautiful restaurant. And my first question to the guy after I ate was, who owns this place? He says, a white man, you know. And I said, is there any place that a black man owns around here? And 50 years later, there must be a major development owned by some black young guys or some young women. This is what I believe we need to do. Not just say we want an education. What we want is opportunity. And young people are crying for opportunity. And I hope that in this next 50 years coming, that Kenya would become not a consumer nation, but a producer nation.